But I think we can kick off and get started. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Cool. Awesome. So, Beanstalk comms team now. So let's hit meeting notes real quick. Quick agenda. So we'll go through content, socials, then we'll hit PR and some BD stuff. So on content, we did have to move some things around. So we're looking to get stablecoin trilemma piece out tomorrow. And so that we're just putting up together some final touches, and then I'd love to get kind of just a quick thumbs up from your end guy on it. So if you have some time later today or even like early tomorrow, I know ideally we get a little more runway for this. This week's just been a little crazy. So we have that, and then there'll be a thread to follow that. We think the engagement on the threads has been awesome. Like community's really liking it. I think I think this is how we're going to kind of get outside of our own little bubble that we kind of have, is kind of maximizing that engagement so that it gets shared a little more on For You, shared a little more on For You. The other thing we've been thinking about is maybe if we did like the Twitter verified thing, because I know that that's pretty helpful on the engagement stuff, but that's something we can talk about later. So coordinating the posting of the blog itself. What is that process like for posting it on the actual website? Is that something you have access to, guys? Is that something that Boobs or Silo Chat has?
Yeah. So there's a site where you can log in and input like the markdown, and then you like attach any images, things like that, push a button to publish it. Yeah, I mean, I think a couple other folks have access to it, but we haven't been posting on the blog all that often, but I guess I'm one of the primary users of that. So we can get you access to that. If you're
Okay.
talking about literally the mechanical steps to get something on the blog versus like
Yeah.
who approves something or whatever.
Well, I guess I would say both, right? So, as far as like I was definitely talking more about the actual mechanical posting of it. It's mostly going to be educational content, so I don't think there's like too much, but yeah, definitely want to get your guys' eyes on it. So maybe we can like send it to you, have you kind of look through it, and then we can kind of do a quick huddle, me and you, and then you can kind of just walk me through the or just send me the info for logging in and posting it, and then we can actually get it posted, and then we can kind of take that from there. So trying to conscious of trying to take as many things off of your plate. Definitely don't want to be adding anything onto your plate. Uh,
Amazing. Yeah, I think we might have a doc or a guide on uploading, so I'll find that and shoot it your way. And yeah, if you want to jam live on anything, happy to show you as well.
awesome. That's
And
perfect.
you said there's another thread that you wanted me to take a look at?
So what we want to take, we want you to take a look at the blog itself.
Okay.
Thread I'm not too worried about
Oh,
because it's just
sorry.
going to be.
Yeah, the blog. Got it. I hear you.
So, and it's pretty just like high overview kind of stablecoin trilemma of just like, hey, where do we kind of stand in comparison to others? So we're just giving it a final look through, and then we're waiting on a couple brand images, just pictures and stuff. So pictures are almost done, and then as soon as everything's kind of finalized, we'll send it to you. We'll get you to look at it, and then hopefully we can get it posted tomorrow. Um, and then we'll go through the kind of what to expect over the next couple weeks, what blog content when we go to the calendar. But I just want to run through all this real quick. So social. So Bean Bowl has been doing good. We're kind of trying to we're figuring out like how shit posty and in conversations we want to be. But I think it's we're getting a good traction there. I think we want to be like kind of max meme on that side. So our head of social is kind of like a meme god. So he's working with the person who's kind of doing day to day social and kind of doing a lot of the ideation in order to make Bean Bowl a little more shit posty. And we're gonna start kind of we're working on making like these bean Pepe type things where like it's like the Pepe frog meme, but kind of beans instead. So I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with that kind of stuff. And then I think Bean Bowl is like getting into more conversations. I do have a little bit of a logistic thing with Bean Bowl, but I'll hit you on the side for that guy. Bean farmers. Okay, I want to get just like general ideas about like what people are thinking about the content so far. So I'll just pull it up real quick uh, and we can kind of get an idea of how everybody's kind of thinking about it, like general vibes. I mean, so we're going for like the heavy kind of educational thing. So we just put one out today about about the field and like kind of the mechanics behind the field a little bit, why the field's important. Um, so we did field today. We kind of bumped the Buttonwood blog post that they did that Poops is on. You see Poop Squad. Um, yeah, so like kind of trying to do like 2 to 3 threads a week, and then re-upping and re-bringing up all the general kind of updates and things like that. You know, kind of trying to putting ourselves in these convos, right? Something about stable coins, margin lending and DeFi. I think this was a really good place where we got to talk about kind of positive carry a little bit. Um, I think on Monday we did the why bean. So, why are we kind of building this? This was mostly on carry rates, carrying costs. How does it kind of work? So I'd love to kind of open it up right here and just like, Guy or anyone else, general thoughts about the content. Do you guys think this is kind of what's needed in order to fill that educational gap? Um, how are you guys feeling about the content so far? Not everybody all at once.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. Well, I guess one question I have is like, are you bringing this when you write the threads? Do you have someone else within Beanstalk Farms like go through it, or how was the process for this one?
So we can. I think like this like high level kind of educational content. I didn't necessarily think we needed to, but I mean all more eyes are always good. It's just like I think the idea is that we're trying to take as much off of BF's plate as we can, not wanting them to like add in. So we're keeping it pretty high level. I think definitely if there's anything kind of in that second layer. But I don't know. Is there anything that like you feel like? Do you feel like we're not kind of hitting the nail on the head, or do you maybe feel like we're just a little off on some stuff, or is it just like in
I'll
general?
I'll add really
No, I
quick.
think it's great.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think everything is here is great. I just wanted to say like, I think in the text in the Twitter, temperature equals interest rate, you have a sentence that says our graphic shows 764%. One pod purchased today means you will receive 8,765. That should be 87 or 88.65 beans of maturity.
Yeah, you're right.
So you will receive, or so I guess one bean will issue you 88.65 pods. So I think that kind of stuff is kind of definitely good to double check. And
No,
it's definitely hard, during the early days, but I do agree that it's nice that you're taking plate off on our plate, but definitely during the early days, I think it's unwarranted just to have a little sync up, like 10 minutes, and you can definitely ping any of us, I feel.
Hmm?
So, but other than that, that's great. This is great.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, that's totally on us. I think we'll try to like like thanks for bringing this to our attention. I mean, like I think eventually we would have kind of seen it. I do think small things like this are definitely avoidable and things we want to solve for. So let me kind of let us kind of go back to the drawing board and think about this a little bit because we will like kind of that balance between wanting to not bother you about every single post because it's going to be a lot of posts and a lot of things going on versus like obviously having that final kind of check through and making sure that's right is definitely important. Yeah, I think like 87.6465 whatever that number is. Yeah, if we were getting 8,000 beans for every pot, I think we'd be a lot more excited for sure. So yeah, let us kind of think through our process but yeah, good call. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Yeah, because that's definitely something we don't want to happen going forward, especially when it's like heavy educational. But how about like
Yeah, I mean, I would just say I think like to some extent like the magnitude of that kind of error is like the cost of doing business, but at the same time, like it's really not a bother whatsoever. This would take just a couple minutes to run through if you sent it, a couple hours in advance. So really don't want you guys to think of it as bothering us in any way. We want to be, an endless resource for you guys to figure things out, particularly in these first couple months where you guys are getting up to speed.
Mhm.
So whether it's questions in the channels, you want to DM me, anything like that, always happy to help.
100%. But also curious on just general content feedback. Just like, is this what you guys want to see? Do you guys have other ideas for types of content you want to see? I think like, we're kind of thinking about it in phases. So this first phase and this kind of run that we're going to is like kind of having the resources to explain all of these things as simply as possible, and then kind of getting like a layer deeper. But in general, like, do you guys think that this content is helpful? Like, is this kind of, I don't know, maybe people that aren't as involved members of the community, or maybe like newer per se, like, is this kind of stuff helpful? Do you guys think this is where we need to be as far as content right now?
I love this. I love the Twitter thread. I love the fact that you clipped one of Pub's podcast and kind of gave an example in more detail, example, a little more nuance. Like it's great. I loved it. I loved the conclusion at the end to just see like, giving one tweet summary on like what the goal is, the field is. I love this whole push of education.
Cool. Yeah, I'll jump in here too. That we like have kind of a bunch of these regarding the Beanstalk mechanisms and different things that make Beanstalk what it is, coming out for the next 2 weeks. Like, and one of the topics that is going to be hit on is kind of like unripe converts, fertilizer, all that, and then bringing up kind of like the current situation of Beanstalk under $1, and what we really talked about in our call last week with Publius, kind of about how people are incentivized right now to hang on to their silo assets and not convert for that extra stock. So really addressing that and making that known, that that's a big reason, and saying how that's going to change here soon and whatnot. So like there's a ton of like good stuff that we think is going to be really beneficial coming out. And in regards to this, sorry, go ahead if you want to jump in. Okay. In regards to kind of like making sure that the quality control is solid and all of that stuff, I will be pinging you guys in the Scrib channel. I'll just update with a link to the calendar and say there's a Typefully thing. You guys can all access it, and you'll be able to leave comments and just make sure that stuff is completely accurate. And yeah, I'll do that well in advance of it, because we have these threads ready to go well in advance. So yeah, I'll make sure there's ample time. If I don't see any comments, if I see that no one has confirmed of it, then I'll ping again, whatnot. And then if someone after a couple run throughs could just say, looks great to me, confirmed, good to go, whatever, that would be awesome. But yeah, I'll just drop a link to it in the Scrib channel, and then you guys can run through it, leave comments in Typefully, and that would be super helpful. But yeah, again, like, won't happen again, kind of that oversight on our end, of not having that quality control before this one went out.
Yeah, and yeah, last thing on this one was, yeah, we had this weird problem where when we posted it, I guess like the second tweet didn't read. And so I assume because right here instead of core we put lifeblood. And so I guess it got flagged for that reason, I'm assuming. So then we just had to delete it and then repost it really quick. So that was the only kind of hiccup we had. But I think, yeah, that was just like a kind of Twitter algo type of thing. So we're pretty excited about the educational content. We'll go through the calendar and kind of what's up next right after this. So on the PR side, so we're trying to work on getting like a smooth rhythm for some of these Twitter spaces and kind of having that set time and having some people on. So as far as like podcasts and kind of PR type of things, we're talking to Amin from Rye. He's a little bit kind of right now. Same thing with the Flywheel guys. Like we reached out to them, and then at first they said yes, and then second thing they were like, maybe in a little bit. So I think like we're gonna try to hit the kind of reserve guys because they look like they're doing quite a bit of spaces. So kind of being a regular in some of these stable conversations with them. Obviously Buttonwood, they're friends. Ampleforth, they're friends. So we're gonna try to get some stuff with them going. But yeah, overall, I think people are just a little bit kind of like sheepish about it. So it's so you know we got a couple maybes. So we're just trying to set up kind of that consistent cadence, and kind of helping get Poops on more out podcasts, right? Trying to get the message out there a little more in different audiences. And then on the BD side, so one thing we did on BD is we started to look at some of the other stablecoin integrations, and so one of the big ones that we wanted to look at was Liquidity. And we kind of looked at all the recent Liquidity partnerships that have been done, and it's a little tough. You want to do some like level setting is like it's a lot of these are just like very simple, like hey, we just integrated it into the protocol. So I think like a lot of people want LUSD, especially right now, because of how kind of strong it held up while everything else kind of hit the shitter. And like we held up really strongly, like basically as strong as LUSD did, but people are still a little worried about the peg thing. So I think that pushing out the content is going to kind of help downstream into the PR and the BD stuff. Right now, it's just a little tough because people are just a little bit like stablecoins in general. The people are like meh, and then like algo stables in general, people are a little bit maybe squeamish on. So we're having some of these conversations. I think we're trying to do some of this more like partnership for the sake of partnership type stuff, but looking everywhere else and kind of we looked at Frax a little bit. They're not really doing too many partnerships right now. Not like a crazy amount of integrations happening with stables just because everyone's a little worried about the landscape. So integrations are going to be tough till kind of Wells, but I think what the focus is going to be on is some of these just like cross community type partnerships. And so that's why I think right now like BD and PR are going to be a little bit hand in hand. As far as doing some PR stuff is going to be a lot of the BD stuff. Right, like doing these community partnerships is going to be essentially like PR. So these are going to be a little bit hand in hand right now. We're reaching out to Threshold and LUSD. Haven't gotten a response from either yet, but we'll just keep kind of bumping and pushing until we can get something. And then we're just looking through everyone else that's getting different integrations and kind of seeing if there's a space for us as well. But I think the taking beans out of the silo, putting them somewhere else is obviously everyone's not super excited about that because everybody wants their stock. So I think we're just going to keep pushing along for BD. I think PR is going to be pretty easy once we get kind of a steady stream and like a set Twitter space going. And so as far as content calendar, so this is kind of what's on tap. So trilemma analysis is going to go out tomorrow. We're going to have some single posts. I think we want to do like flat coins at the end of the week, right? Like I think that's a big narrative to get in front of. Just because Coinbase specifically has been talking about wanting flat coins, and I think we kind of definitely fit into the flat coin category. As far as like we can do those type of things by pegging to essentially anything we want to. So whether that's the CPI or something like an FPIS and pegging to that. And then as far as next week, we have the silo thread. So that's the thread that Joey put together. It's going to be very similar to this kind of field thread. Then we're going to kind of do one on like what's the silo, why the silo. We're pretty excited. We've been talking to Usfi about his Bean Scholars class. So we're definitely going to want to bring a lot of attention there, bring some people in there. Next week's blog post is Beanomics, and like we're going to focus on the kind of peg mechanics and system incentives and kind of go through the behavioral stuff. We're going to put out a thread about kind of the unripe assets and kind of the conversion, and then kind of the 3 token design of how Beanstalk works, right, between Beans itself, the silo, and the stock and all the different kind of tokens that are in the ecosystem. So that's what's on tap for next week. Kind of keeping on going down. I think by next Wednesday we want to have this filled out all the way through to the end of April, and so we already have a long form kind of planned out. The following week, so the week of the 12th, we want to do something like we really like the name like Counting Beans. So something along the lines of like a kind of update on the ecosystem. What do all the big metrics look like? How do we want to be looking at these metrics, analyzing the big metrics that we want to look at? So that's something that Rob is working on. So it's going to be Beanomics next week, counting beans the following week. And then the week after that, we'll have flavors of stablecoins. Not this next week, but the week after, we're going to have some stuff about why bean is less than $1, right? And how we can kind of work on that, fix that. The history of Beanstalk. We're excited about that. We think like kind of walking everybody through the timeline and explaining kind of what happened and when and why is going to help. So by next week, we'll have this all the way filled out until May. And then, once we get around here, then we're going to, basically 2 weeks out, we're going to start filling it out for all of May. And then hopefully we'll be able to get in some Wells content. I think Wells is going to be June. So start introing Wells a little bit, start teasing it. And then, we can start filling in, we definitely want to get people excited about Wells. So that's going to be the big push. So it's going to be like educational content for the month, then Wells content, getting everything kind of upped and ready and getting everybody primed for Wells. And then, we'll kind of see what the narrative landscape is around that time. So, any
Quick question: do you guys have your own graphics person?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have two graphics guys. One guy's like a very meme, and he's the guy that's working on this Pepe Bean stuff. And then we have a guy for just like general graphics and things like that. But I know you guys do as well, right?
Cool. Yeah, we do as well. The more the better. Just curious.
Yeah. So I think I might tap into your team's guy for. So I have my guy working on so it's in the design queue right here. So it's kind of
Nice.
so we're trying to get him to like kind of combine these into. Oh, this is let's see. Twitter logo. So this is what he had. I don't think he really got it, and now he's starting to get it. So something like this, maybe green background with a bunch of different guys bean NFTs. If anybody wants there specifically, and that'll be kind of the Bean Farmers Twitter logo. Not necessarily sold on this. This is just his first iteration. So if anyone has ideas about what they want that to look like for the Bean Farmers account Twitter logo or Twitter avatar, open to thoughts and suggestions and memes there. But something kind of like this, except with everybody's actual Bean NFTs. So we think that'll be fun. Because we definitely don't want to use just like the plain Bean Money logo. So that's content is churning out. I think we hit about 3 threads. We will hit 3 threads this week. We'll put out our first long form. That'll be good. And then long form will be weekly. If anyone has any thoughts or ideas there, more than happy to kind of take anything you guys got there. We'll send that over to you guys so that you can kind of take a look at it, or if you want to send it to Poobs or Silo Chat or whoever else that wants to take a look at that piece, we can do that. And then we'll get that out tomorrow. We'll get a Twitter thread with that out tomorrow. And then we're pretty close to having the content machine just kind of running autonomously, where it's just kind of chugging away and everything's just on schedule and scheduled weeks out in advance. So once that happens, then that gives us a little more bandwidth to focus on the PR and BD stuff and getting those initiatives like really clean and the machine like super nice and cogged and ready to go to just keep churning out content. And like the idea is like we're just gonna put out so much fucking content that like people won't be able to ignore what's happening. Like it's just gonna be like so much, and people are gonna be like, "Holy shit, so much is happening in this ecosystem." Like I gotta get in and I gotta know what's going on. So that's most of what we got for this week. Any thoughts, questions, comments? I think we can kind of open it up to everybody.
I had one real quick just for finalizing some stuff for the tri-level long form. If some of you guys on the team could just talk a little bit about how you think of capital efficiency for Bean. I just want to make sure that I have everything included there.
Well, I guess what makes Beans capital efficient in a way that most stablecoins are not is that most stablecoins are collateralized, and having collateral, you need other money in order to mint the money. And so inherently the, number of the stablecoin that can be minted is limited by the amount of collateral you can attract. So to me, when I hear capital efficiency in the context of stablecoins, it is largely a function of the amount of collateral necessary to mint the stablecoin, in which Beanstalk requires 0.
Okay, great. That's exactly what I have right now. I was just thinking, are there any other like sort of scaling limitations that come to mind? Would be worth mentioning there.
Like with stablecoins generally, or with Beanstalk, or both?
More with just Beanstalk specifically, because as you said, it doesn't have a collateral requirement, so that's not a limiting factor. But
Well,
yeah.
so one of the limiting factors to its scale at some point would be the amount of on-chain non-bean value it can trade against, because beans derive their value entirely from the non-bean value it trades against, like the liquidity. And that means in order to scale to a particular supply, you need enough, again, non-bean value to trade against. And so eventually, it's like at a certain scale, like what is that value? At a certain point, it would only be Ether. And so theoretically, one day, were Beanstalk to be, the most widely used protocol on Ethereum, it would still be limited by the value of Ether on Ethereum.
Okay, that's an interesting note. Might work that in there in some way. Cool. Thanks for your answer.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe I'll just touch upon this a bit and add to what Guy has said. Typically speaking, efficiency comes for stablecoins that you lend out against. So when you say liquidity is more efficient or more capital efficient than others, it just mainly has to do that you need or are required to lock up a smaller amount. You can also put in this argument if, let's say, we are a group of people and we're coming together, and then we choose that the currency that we want to use is one that is formed, through a CDP, like DAI and Liquidity, and then say that this is not efficient because we are going to have to lock up so much collateral just for the case of using a currency. But otherwise, if we are like, you're a user or someone who just wants to use it, there is no real, capital efficiency in that thinking, just because you're buying on the stablecoin, so it doesn't matter which stablecoin you're buying. In the scalability bit, this is where also collateral comes in. You can't just scale, or you can't scale more than the collateral that you're holding. And if you look into liquidity as an example, and then you think of, let's say there is more demand for liquidity than there is ETH, then liquidity can scale in that sense. I hope this added more clarity and not confusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I mean, that's pretty much what I talked about. I just wanted to be sure I wasn't missing out on anything that section.
Cool.
Just for reference, I'm working on a blog post that outlines the timeline and different pieces of what we're calling the Mayflower update, which are the big 3 upgrades to the ecosystem over the next couple months. One of which is Wells towards the end. So just a heads up. Hopefully can put that out sometime next week.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah. If you want to kind of like share your progress with us, or maybe if you want us to like take that home for you, or however you think we can help there, just let us know.
Or like write a thread for it,
Sorry, what'd you say, Randy?
Saying we could do like a thread for it for when it comes out.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I mean it's just a handful of paragraphs at the moment, but once it's a little bit more polished, I'll shoot it your way, definitely. That's a good call.
Yeah, that's good. I think people are going to get really excited about that. We can push that on farmers with the thread. yeah, that's most of what we have this week. I think we can, we can hang back for a little bit if anyone has any questions or thoughts or wants to bounce ideas off. We can hang back, but yeah, just overall, just kind of cleaning up the content machine, getting that really nice and dialed in and consistent. Long form, regular tweets, threads on all the main accounts to grow top of funnel, and then yeah, and I think a lot of that's going to help the one peg stability stuff, the two the overall growth stuff, and then that is going to help us get everything else that we want to do, make it a lot easier to get those pushes as far as like BD and PR.
Sweet. Well, thanks, guys.
Cool.
I know it's on my list. I'm gonna look into getting you guys access to the CMS to upload blog posts right away.
Perfect. Yeah, and we'll drop meeting notes for today's meeting in the Scribe channel. Cool.
Thanks everyone.